everybody, welcome to Steelers Weekly presented by Geico. I am Missi Matthews. It is time now to get you ready for the Steelers' upcoming game.
Man, been really impressed with their quarterback, Joe Burrow. He's as good as advertised. His physical talents are one thing, and you know, they're rock solid, man. This guy can make every throw. His accuracy is exceptional. But the most impressive thing has been, you know, his charisma or his moxie or his competitive spirit.
Hi everybody, I'm Missi Matthews. Welcome to the Matchup Show presented by POWERHOME Solar. We are talking AFC North football today. Steelers and Bengals here at Heinz Field, 4:25 on Sunday. Let me introduce you to today's panel. Somebody who has a lot of moxie, Bob Labriola of Steelers.com and Steelers Digest. Thought I'd get a chuckle out of you, Labs. Matt Williamson joining us from Steelers Nation Radio, and former Steelers quarterback Charlie Batch, and also of KDKA and DVE postgame show joining us here. And guys, we have to start with the quarterbacks. We are hoping the one in black and gold is Ben Roethlisberger. We will be finding out as we get closer to the game. But when you're looking at Ben's numbers next to Joe Burrow's numbers, of course, the first overall draft pick, the record's completely different. Of course, the Steelers are 8-0. Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals 2-5-1. But as coach said, this is a guy that the team is buying in on and helping to surround. He has been sacked, though, 28 times. So, Labs, I'll start with you. Is pressure enough to disrupt Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals?
Well, I think pressure is always enough to discombobulate a rookie quarterback in the NFL. I mean, Joe Burrow came from the SEC, and that's as close to NFL football as you can get on the college level, but it's still not the kind of physical, relentless pressure that you see in the NFL. And so, you know, I really think that the way to get to a young quarterback, especially a rookie, is to put pressure on him, have pass rushers around his feet. I'm sure Charlie can talk about how NFL quarterbacks hate that. And, you know, that to me is always a start, because then maybe you can get him to start looking at the rush instead of looking down the field for his receivers.
Now, Matt, the Bengals have not had Joe Mixon since week 6. They are coming off of a bye week. Do you think they try to get their run game going to help Burrow going against the Steelers defense?
I think they'll try. I mean, you have to remember, Zach Taylor comes from a McVay tree with the Rams, and a lot of that started with Todd Gurley, a foundational running game. I actually think Mixon is more talented than Gurley ever was on his best day. And they want to do a lot of play action off of that. You're going to see 3 wide receivers on the field almost exclusively. But this team throws a ton, and basically because their offensive line doesn't move anybody in the run game. So they can try all they want, but the blocking has not helped Mixon's cause at all.
Charlie, in terms of Burrow, coach says he is as advertised. What have you seen from him so far through their first 8 games?
Yeah, I mean, I'm impressed because the lack of offseason and no preseason games, and he's got off to a fast start. And the one thing that impresses me about him, that he's standing in the pocket, even though there's a lot of pressure at times with him, he's able to stand in to deliver the football. So I think it's going to be important for the Steelers to put that pressure on him and throw multiple blitzes at him just to see, number one, if he recognizes it, and what does he do once he does recognize it? Is he throwing a hot, or is he trying to change protections to try to throw the football down the field? So they'll be showing him a lot early in the ballgame.
All right, we do have some fan questions that we are going to sprinkle throughout our show, and Coach Tomlin said he was hopeful that Tyson Alualu and Mike Hilton would return to the Steelers defense this week. And Steelers 8-0 fan 4 wants to know the status of Tyson Alualu and the impact he will make. And guys, I can tell you he has been back at practice this week, so that is a positive sign. We'll know for sure on Friday. But Labs, what happens if Tyson is able to go on Sunday for the Steelers defense?
Well, I think it's a big boost. If Tyson Alualu and Mike Hilton are both able to be back, Tyson is by far the best nose tackle on the roster. All due respect to Isaiah Buggs, but it's a significant drop-off in my mind from Tyson Alualu to Isaiah Buggs at the nose. And Mike Hilton, you know, Mike Tomlin generally refers to him as a significant run defender, and he is good against the run when the Steelers are in their sub-package defenses. And, you know, you play sub-package defense now in the NFL almost 70% of the time. And so if the Bengals decide to go with multiple receivers and then try and run the ball, Mike Hilton plays a significant role in being able to stop that. I thought Dallas had some success running the ball out of their multi-receiver packages, and the absence of Mike Hilton had something to do with that.
Matt, what are your thoughts on those two possibly returning on Sunday? We know that Chris Wormley is still on IR, so that depth at the D-line is lagging.
Yeah, it is. And you're asking Cam and Tuitt to play too many snaps, too. And they've been tremendous. They've been up to the challenge. But when you think big picture and playoffs, and boy, I think about when the Jags came here a couple of years, that D-line had just weathered too much playing time going into that game, and it started to show late in the season when it mattered most. And guys like Buggs and Mondo are coming along well, but they need to play fewer snaps. They get exposed a little bit at this point of their career. And I don't think everyone realizes just how well Alou was playing. And to Charlie's point, too, about the blitz packages, no one comes on that slot blitz better than Hilton. And I'm sure Burrow's going to see plenty of that this week.
All right, Charlie, you know how the Steelers defense goes against rookie quarterbacks. It is a great record, and I do have a little trivia question for you. So first, just the Steelers since 2004 against starting rookie quarterbacks, 4-24 for those rookie quarterbacks. So not great success. TD to interception ratio for them, 27 touchdowns to 28 interceptions. Now, there have been 4 rookies that have beat the Steelers, and I want to test your knowledge, your trivia, to see if you can name any of them.
I would say Troy. What was his name? For the Ravens.
Yep, Troy Smith.
Troy Smith. Let's see. There was one for the Browns.
Yes, you're even going in the correct years. This one was 2012. I'll tell you, it was a game in Cleveland where there happened to be a large number of fumbles by the Steelers.
Yeah, and I happened to start that game, so try to put that game out of my head. That's why I can't remember a lot of things about that game, because that was
Labs
a bad
and Matt, you can jump in too if you remember.
I was glad you didn't ask me.
Brandon Weeden.
There you go, Brandon Weeden.
All right, the other two were in 2016. That would have been Carson Wentz and then Dak Prescott. I think we all remember that game at Heinz Field, Zeke Elliott scoring at the very end. So, Charlie, what is it about, this Steelers defense that kind of has this knack, the best winning percentage in the regular season against rookies?
Well, this is what happens. You throw a lot of things at them, and you want to throw it just to see what they see, and as the game goes on, if they're feeling comfortable, and if they don't notice something right away, especially in the blitz package, they're going to continue to see that. So that's why it's important to throw multiple things at you. But I think if Mike Hilton is able to play in this football game, it now adds a different element. And there's nothing against Cam Sutton, nothing against Marcus Allen, but those are where you're seeing these big plays in the dime package on the running game. So Mike Hilton is able to stay on the field, and he's multidimensional because he's able to make some of those plays. So it's very important for him to be on the field.
Okay, guys, we are done with quizzes for this edition of the matchup. We are going to take a quick break. When we come back, though, we will talk about each of the team's star wide receivers. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Steelers Weekly, presented by Geico, continues.
But they got a new component in T. Higgins out of Clemson, who's 6'4" and change. Is making some quality plays for them as well on the outside.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the matchup show presented by POWERHOME Solar. Let's take a look at both teams' wide receivers. A lot of guys drafted in the second round on both sides. Right now we have Chase Claypool and T. Higgins from the 2020 draft. Of course, Tyler Boyd, who Coach Tomlin talked about, from the Pittsburgh area. And Matt, I'll start with you on this one in terms of the younger guys, Claypool and T. Higgins. What did you like from each of them coming into the draft this year?
Quite a bit. I mean, it's a remarkable rookie receiver class overall. And I think most year, both these guys would not have lasted out of round one. There was so many other good guys that went ahead of them. Higgins comes from a big program, obviously. He's a jump ball receiver with deep abilities. He's physical. He's good after the catch. But he's not the freak that Claypool is, that's for sure. I mean, there's few like Claypool in the league. And what's been really remarkable that maybe not everyone, paying attention here would understand is all of a sudden they're using Claypool in a wide variety of ways. I mean, he must be mentally grasping everything they put on his plate at a rapid rate.
Charlie, what do we need to know about the wide receivers for the Bengals and just in terms of how Joe Burrow is getting acclimated to them?
Well, when you have a veteran group like Tyler Boyd and A.J. Green, these guys understand what the defense is trying to do. So that helps the young quarterback in that perspective. But when you add a T. Higgins into this equation, man, they're really getting after it. But the drop-off is when they have to add their fourth receiver in. They're not getting much production from that particular perspective. So it's going to be interesting to see how many receivers they put on the field at a time. But with that experienced group, it allows Joe Burrow to take some of the chances that he's taking downfield.
All right, Labs, we have a fan question from our friend Heather of the show, always tweeting in good ones. Heather wants to know, since we're back in the kitchen, as Coach Tudlin likes to say, what does the Steelers offense need to cook up to be successful?
Well, I'll tell you what I'd like to see. I'd like to see, something resembling a quick start. It doesn't necessarily have to be as it was against the Titans in Nashville, but I think it's important for the Steelers to be able to, early in the game on offense, move the ball a little bit, convert some third downs, or even better than that, not even get to third downs, move the chains, possess the ball, maybe establish a little bit of rhythm. I mean, every early possession does not necessarily have to end in points, although that would be nice. But the three and out, that kind of stuff, it just precludes you from really running enough plays. You don't really get to see enough of their defense, what they're doing, how you might want to attack it down the road in the game. And it doesn't do your defense any good when you're only on the field for 3 plays and then you're punting. So I would like to see a little bit more consistency of performance from the Steelers offense early, and I think it'll bode well for the team throughout the rest of the game.
All right, Matt, how about a run game? We do have a fan question from Linda asking about that. Linda said, do you think we can get our run game back on track this game, and how do we do that? And when you look at the Steelers through weeks 1 through 6, they were averaging 136.8 yards per game in rushing. That was 9th in the NFL. Then week 7 till now, only 62.7 rushing yards per game. So what's missing here?
Well, there wasn't a dedication to the run game last week, that's for sure. They got away from it, and it ended up working out in the end without question. But I think an underreported kind of aspect of this past week was, I thought the offensive line collectively didn't get off the ball with the same snap and explosion we've been used to. Maybe that's the third road game in a row, post Ravens, a little bit weary. And also, your peripheral blockers are important too. You didn't have Watt, who's going to be back now as the fullback position. Not that he plays a ton of snaps. Vance McDonald, we find out he played with COVID virus and didn't have anything close to his best game either. So you can run you don't have to put heavy personnel on the field. We're not going to have McDonald in this game. Watt's going to be back, but not a ton of snaps. But I would like to see the offensive line get off the ball with a little bit more snap.
Charlie, it was kind of the same story last week going against the Dallas Cowboys defense, but Cincinnati is allowing 144.3 rushing yards per game. In your opinion, how do the Steelers get back to committing to the run?
Yeah, for me, it really starts with taking the ball first. And when you do that, it allows you to kind of get into that rhythm, and you can get the running game going as well. But when you don't, you sit back and, wait for your chance, and maybe half of the quarter is gone, and maybe 20 minutes since the realistic time from the time that you have pregame to when you actually take the field, that takes its toll, and it doesn't allow you to get into that rhythm. Cowboys were giving up 170 yards rushing, like you mentioned, Missy, 144 by the Bengals. So I hopefully they take the ball first and get them into that rhythm to get them going and then keep it going as the game continues.
All right, guys, time for one more break here on the Matchup Show. When we return, your keys to the game. We'll be right back. Steelers Weekly is presented by Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car insurance. Hi everybody, I'm Missi Matthews, welcome to Scouting by SiriusXM. You can subscribe to SiriusXM's Best Package All Access and get your first 6 months for $50. Fees and taxes do apply. See offer details at SiriusXM.com/scouting. Joining me once again, former Steelers quarterback Bruce Gradkowski. I love the getup behind you today with the helmets, and the Steelers are 8-0, Bruce. We haven't talked to you in a few weeks. So what do you like about this team heading into an AFC North matchup, as Coach says, hot in the kitchen?
Well, Missy, I almost played for every NFL team, so I do just collect the helmet. But, man, the Steelers are playing well, and it's fun to watch them because they figure out ways to win. It's not always going to be pretty, and that's what was impressive last week against the Cowboys. Now, once again, you have to be prepared. Now you're playing a better quarterback in Joe Burrow, so you can't let your guard down. I think the Steelers really have to focus on putting pressure on them and getting after them early.
Coach Tomlin said before the season even started, for the defensive guys, you are going against former Heisman Trophy winners in the AFC North. Joe Burrow, this will be the first meeting for the Steelers. What is he doing well, and what's something he's not doing so great in the first half of his season?
Well, I'll tell you what, in week 8, he had the 5th best passing grade at PFF. It was his third 80-plus grade of the season. And where he's really playing well is the intermediate range, that 10 to 19-yard range. Overall this season, he ranks second for us at PFF behind Aaron Rodgers. So it's just really cool to see how well he's playing in legit situations, legit concepts, progressions. He's way above his time. He understands football. He understands how he's protected. There are some times he glances down at the protection, making sure the rush isn't getting to him. But as a young quarterback, you'll learn that. But I'm telling you what, he's just a super competitor. And the Bengals are in every football game, and at least they believe they are, right? So he gives them that hope going in to each week. So it's been fun to watch him play.
He has been sacked a lot, though, so far, and we know the Steelers' defense likes to get after the quarterback. Where do you see this matchup going on Sunday?
Well, you're absolutely right about that. Burrow's worst game of the year came in week 5 against the Ravens, which you got to know, the Ravens blitz a lot, and he struggled against it. Now the Steelers, 211 total pressures generated for our PFF data. That's second by the Steelers defense. So you have to expect them getting after the young quarterback, mixing up coverages, giving him multiple looks. You don't have to bring the house on him, but bring some pressure, mix it up a little bit. And I think that's where he'll struggle.
All right, in terms of the Cincinnati Bengals defense, Coach even said there's no Carlos Dunlap, and the Steelers are okay with that. What can you tell us about their defense? Not as many of the same names that I think Steelers fans are used to hearing.
Yeah, you're right. This is definitely a different defense, but I'll tell you what, the team plays hard. I mean, they play hard to the whistle through the fourth quarter, and that's a compliment to Zach Taylor and what he's doing over there. It's a compliment to Joe Burrow that team always feels like they have a chance. Defensively, I think for the Steelers, you have to jump on that defense early. Big Ben and the offense and those guys, you have to jump out early, get in a rhythm, be efficient with the football. I think last week, a lot of quick passing game for the Steelers. You get the quarterback in rhythm that way. I think that's what you have to do. And honestly, a game like this, just like last week, you have to focus on your assignment and executing. Protect the football, and I think if they do that, the Steelers should win.
What's one matchup between these two teams for the first meeting of the season that you'll be watching?
It's probably the different looks the Steelers defense gives Burrow. I want to see how they play the young quarterback. Burrow gets into a lot of empty sets at times, and how does that spread out the Steelers defense? Can they cover down? Can they still get pressure after Burrow? That'll be interesting to watch. But man, I think this is a fun matchup because I'm always interested in the quarterbacks. And Joe Burrow, a young stud, it's fun to watch.
Okay, Bruce, thanks as always for your time. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Missy.
All right, another AFC North matchup. It is time for our Keys to the Game presented by the Neighborhood Ford Store. All right, Labs, you get to go first. I think next time I'm going to make sure you go last, but go ahead.
Okay, what I would like to see the Steelers do is control the line of scrimmage when the Bengals have the football. The Bengals' offensive line is not very good. It hasn't been performing well to this point in the season. And so if the Steelers can take over the line of scrimmage when the Bengals have the football, they can eliminate any threat of Joe Mixon's running. And also when you make the Bengals one-dimensional, then you can pull out the bag of tricks and go after the rookie quarterback.
Okay, Matt, what is your key to Steelers and Bengals?
Going with sack differential. And sack differential is defined as the number of sacks your defense produces minus the number of sacks your offense allows. Well, you know who's number 1 in the league in that? Pittsburgh. You know who's number 32 in the league in that? Cincinnati. And doesn't bode so well for Mr. Burrow, or bodes awful well for Mr. Roethlisberger. I think that's going to play out in a big way in this game.
Okay, Charlie, what is your key to Steelers and Bengals?
I'm playing just what these two just said, turnovers and creating turnovers. The Bengals coming into this game have turned the football over 20 times. Joe Burrow's had 5 interceptions, 3 fumbles as well. So it starts with him. And one thing that TJ and Bud has done, they have perfected that strip sack. Not necessarily tackling him, but going after the football and trying to jar that ball loose. So I expect that to be to a big advantage for the Steelers heading into this game.
All right, guys, looking forward to the game on Sunday. Glad we will be back at Heinz Field in front of Steelers Nation. Thanks for joining me here today on the Matchup Show presented by POWERHOME Solar. For Labs, Matt, and Charlie, I'm Missy. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you guys next time.
What's up, Steelers Nation? It's your boy Juju Smith-Schuster here. Thanks for watching the video. Make sure you like and comment below. And don't forget to subscribe to the Steelers official YouTube channel. Thanks again. Here we go, Steelers.